The USS Ronald Reagan. Its open-air flight deck cutting through the Atlantic stands in stark contrast to what's going on just below the surface. What lies beneath are the lower decks and a maze of steely corridors. For these sailors, this massive maze is not only something they need to maneuver in, it happens to be their home. Imagine this. You're living with 6,000 other people in this claustrophobic mangle of spaces for months at a time, with nowhere else to go. When it comes to handling the day-to-day dealings with sailors aboard the Reagan, Command Master Chief Kathy Hansen is there with ongoing guidance.
When I came in the Navy, I was, 18, a punk, and I came in the Navy for direction. And now I can help other sailors, achieve what I've achieved, and it's an awesome thing. People come from all walks of life, so sometimes they have financial problems. Sometimes to be away from their kids or to be away from their husband or their wife is very difficult, so we help them get through that.
So what is the Reagan like as a home away from home? Well, for one thing, space is at a premium. This female berthing is typical of most of the Reagan's living quarters. A tour of this place is a tutorial in tidiness.
This is the coffin locker right here. This is a space that's given to you out to sea for your locker. And you see how you have to fold things a certain way to make sure your uniforms fit in here.
Keeping clothes tightly pressed and folded is a necessity, given the limited storage space. And the officers keep sailors on their toes.
Lay on deck!
There's a list that they give you. And when they do inspection, they have to make sure that you don't have anything you're not supposed to have in your locker. And they do it by surprise. They don't tell you. So it's always a surprise when you have it.
Living in cramped quarters isn't the only unique life experience on the Reagan. The use of cash is strictly prohibited. Before shipping out, sailors buy points that are registered to an ATM-like card. But there are also familiar aspects to life. People need haircuts, the Reagan has barbershops. People have faith, the Reagan has 3 chapels. If you have some errands, there are 2 onboard convenience stores. If you want to burn some calories or buff up, there's a gym. And for that good old snail mail, there's always the post office. If you're out of stamps, don't forget that Navy cash.
Thank you.
The Reagan is constantly abuzz with the activity of off-duty sailors living out their regular daily routines. But supporting the regular routines of so many people is a huge undertaking. Just take the laundry, for instance. Most of the people on board work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. When the Reagan's operating with a full crew of 6,000, that makes for a boatload of sweaty uniforms. Add to that the 28,000 bed sheets and the 14,000 pillowcases, and you wind up with one humongous load of laundry coming down every day. Altogether, these machines can turn out nearly 5 metric tons of laundry a day. But only the bigwigs' clothes make it to the ironing boards.
We iron khakis, which is officers and chiefs' uniforms.
For the people who work here, there's a definite sense of pressure to pull off the perfect press.
Especially if it's the captain or the executive officers. We make sure that they look squared away. They don't look right. We're all embarrassed.
It may get hot down here, and the people on duty may have to endure their shipmates' dirty socks, but laundry service is closed on Sundays, meaning these people only have to work 6 days a week. That's easy living on the Reagan. For the people who live on an aircraft carrier, one of the very few guilty pleasures is a good meal.
Is there any more steak?
Tremel Hoover is the galley captain, meaning he's in charge of all of the Reagan's kitchens.
Food is the #1 morale on board. I mean, when you guys are flying the planes and they might have a bad day and different things like that, they know they can come down here and get 100% quality, 100% service.
On the Reagan, operating at 100% means having an open kitchen door policy.
We're running 23 hours a day. 23 hours a day now. We're one of the only ships that are actually doing that now. Constant feed. We only shut down maybe 1 hour for cleaning.
This ship has a total of 11 different rooms for storing food. 7 are for dry storage, meaning no refrigeration, and the others are for cold storage. Down here, if nobody's looking, there are some definite benefits. Altogether, the Reagan has the capacity to store enough food to keep 6,000 sailors happily fed for up to 3 months.
When you have a happy crew, you have a happy ship. You know, everything is happy. Everything runs smooth. We take a lot of positive input from the crew, and whatever they want, that's what we give them.
Giving the customer what they want? That sounds like private sector stuff, which is exactly the point here. The people who work in these kitchens are no longer called mess management specialists. They're known as culinary specialists, something new to the Navy. They are now given the same credentials as their civilian counterparts. Because there's an open kitchen, it's hard to count, but official estimates are that when the Reagan is at full capacity, over 18,000 meals are served every day. All of that chowing can lead to plenty of trash, from bones to napkins. Those things don't just disappear. It's a city of 6,000 and no landfills to speak of. Patrick Maynard runs one of 5 solid waste plants, and he says when it comes to trash, the Reagan's crew keeps it coming.
Actually, it's pretty consistent. We constantly have trash coming in. 24 hours a day we have trash coming in.
It takes a variety of machines to break down different types of garbage.
Anything such as clothing, wood, anything of that nature gets put into this incinerator.
Here, the contents are cooked to 660 degrees Celsius. Then the ashes are discarded overboard. But extreme heat isn't the only way to break down garbage. A saltwater bath also does the trick in prepping certain materials to walk the plank.
Anything that can be broken down by salt water, such as paper, food, anything of that nature, gets put into what we call the pulper. It gets put into the machine. Machine rotates inside, breaks all the particles down, and sends it overboard.
For environmental reasons, plastic materials can't be tossed overboard, so this machine is used to compress it into more storable units.
And turns it into basically looks like a hockey puck, a big hockey puck.
Pucks come out just like this, fully compressed and melted.
These hockey pucks are eventually transported to land-based disposal sites. It may seem like dirty work, but what happens down here is what keeps the Reagan clean. So is there any hope for a nightlife on this city at sea? Welcome to the hangar bay. This 7,000 square metre aeroplane parking lot doubles as a town square of sorts. The eerily coloured lights are not for ambience. They make it hard for enemies to spot the ship at night. But the people who gather here aren't thinking about keeping a low profile. They're ready to blow off some steam. From karaoke to sumo wrestling to self-defense classes, the hangar bay is like a giant park minus the pigeons. From the nightlife in the city centre of the hangar bay to the daily grind of the thousands of workers who sustain this ship's massive population, it's all evidence that the Reagan is its own city at sea, and then some.
Everything that you can imagine in a city, we have on board this ship. The only thing is, our mission is to protect the United States.